How's it going, guys and goddesses? This is the Yakara in the building, baby. Yeah, so I got some good news, but we got to start getting a roll on things, man. I'm on it right now. My biggest hurdle was bypassing semiconductors. MOSFETs, transistors, diodes. Trying to get past that, because to manufacture a diode, you have to dope it. It's a whole process. You need quartz crystals and all that type of deal. So I had to find a way to bypass that, or I had to rely on these corporations to manufacture this stuff. And the way things is going, they're gonna make it to where you're not going to have access to semiconductors and things of that sort. So I had to find a way to get MacGyver on this shit and bypass this whole thing. Hold on here. Okay, this right here is one of the setups. So I'm gonna use a whole battery bank of crystal cell batteries. I had to cook these batteries up. So I have a magnesium right here and copper. These are the terminals for the battery, but I'm gonna have to go back to the Home Depot and get some stainless steel like bolts, stainless steel bolts. They're going to be pretty long, so I'm going to replace the magnesium with stainless steel, because getting access to magnesium is kind of difficult. But this is just for test purposes. But I'm gonna have a battery bank of these crystal cell batteries here. You can cook them up. This battery right here produces about 1.5 volts, and this right here is my coil setup. This is just a little test setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this DC and convert it to alternating current. Okay, so this side has a couple more turns than this side right here, but I'm going to hook the battery to the outside terminal, and then I'm going to connect the inside parts right here. This is going to get connected to ground. I'm going to connect that to my oscilloscope. So we're going to ground out the middle part here, and then I'm going to add a capacitor to these two terminals right here. Is going to be a capacitor here connected in parallel, and then I'm going to run a test. So the whole purpose of this is to take these batteries here produce DC current. So I'm going to take the DC current, run it through the capacitor through these two coils, and then output it, and I'm going to have to check the signal to see if this produces an alternating current. Okay, so when the capacitor pulses, it's supposed to create like a double spike alternating current. And if I use a battery bank, say of 12 volts, okay, when I run it through here, it's going to produce 24 volts AC coming out. And then what I got to do from that point on is I got to take the 24 volts AC, convert it back to DC, and then repeat the whole cycle. So this is kind of an overview of the free energy device. This is just the beginning stage, because like I said, you got to boost up your voltage and you got to boost up your frequency in order to get the joules that you need, and then you got to run that into a bank of capacitors. You got to have a capacitor bank set for a particular voltage rating. Okay, that's a long story, but this right here is the very first part. You have to take DC current, convert it to AC, and then double the voltage. Okay, and do that for a few cycles. Take the AC that's produced out here, have it's like a bridge rectifier, but it's not using diodes. So I'm going to run the AC back into a bridge rectifier and convert it back to DC, so I have 24 volts of DC. Then run it through another alternating current setup, double the voltage. So it takes 24 volts, converts it to 48, 96, 200, whatever. Be about 194, 192 volts. Then double that to 384 volts, and then double that to 700 volts, and then double that to about 1,500 volts. And then you just got to repeat that process a few times over until you get the voltage that you need. But I'm gonna have to run the test and make sure that I'm producing alternating current, and make sure I'm doubling the voltage, to make a long story short. And then once I can do that, then I can run it into a primary coil. But this right here is just going to be the this little board here that I got, I'm just going to build a voltage doubler. And when I get done, you'll be able to see, you know, how that's going to be. And then I'll be able to hook it up to an oscilloscope, and then, you know, I'll verify everything as we go. But this right here is the beginning stage right here, man. You want to have crystal cell batteries. You want to have your coil set up, cut the coil in half, you know, lock it down in these two toes, and then take a wire and connect it to the ground terminal. Okay, so you have your battery connected, positive, negative, and these connected to ground. The center part of this right here, the center part here will be connected to ground. Okay, and that should produce an alternating current signal. It's gonna be, you'll see a double spike, but I have to hook the oscilloscope up so you can kind of get a picture of what's going on here. But this right here is just the first step. When I get done with this, you'll be able to see the whole process, man. Okay, see, the problem is they're about to devalue the dollar. And see, our government is like $39 trillion in debt. So they're going to get you to pay for this debt by devaluing the dollar. But as a result of the result of the dollar being devalued, that means assets like Bitcoin is going to go through the roof. Same way with gold and silver and all your precious metals, they're going to go through the roof. So people that have access to Bitcoin, gold, silver, and precious metals, okay, by 2030, you're going to make out like a fat rat. But here's the thing. I ain't trying to get rich. I don't give a fuck about getting rich, okay? We got to get in here, get this money, see, Bitcoin, gold, silver, and all that, okay, that's not your wealth. Your wealth is the land, the resources. We have to get control of that. So we got to take the money that we make, you know, mining Bitcoin and whatnot, and put it into land, okay? And then we got to have a setup to where we're going to run for local elections, public office, and stuff like that. We got to have a financial base to run our candidates into these local elections and win these elections, so we can overturn property tax and eminent domain. We got to get rid of property tax. We got to get rid of eminent domain, man. Because if these motherfuckers can tax you, okay, if they cut the money system off and you can't pay that property tax, they can still come in and seize your property, man. So we have to get rid of eminent domain and property tax, man. But as it tells you right here, the growing consensus is that Bitcoin could hit a price of $1 million soon, according to Coinbase Global NASDAQ Coin Chief Executive Officer Brian Armstrong. Bitcoin will hit 1 million by 2030. Kathy Wood of ARK Invest thinks Bitcoin will hit 1.2 million by 2030. So we have to get mining immediately. Okay, so we're in 2025, about to be 2026. We need to stack Bitcoin ASAP. Okay, we're going to get into this. Okay, to break this down so you can get a clearer picture of what you're up against, we're going to break down how the United States is going to bankrupt you, and the elites are going to steal all the wealth and consolidate everything, and then they're going to take this wealth, cut all the jobs using artificial intelligence, put all these people out of work, forcing people to foreclose on their homes, and then they're going to take all the available assets and come in and seize your fucking house, your assets, and all your property, man. So we're going to get into how they're going to do this.
The United States government owes $37 trillion. That's more debt than any nation in human history. More debt than the entire global economy produced in a single year, just 2 decades ago. And here's what nobody's telling you. They're not planning to pay it back. They're planning to erase it, not through default, not through austerity, not through higher taxes, through devaluation, strategic, calculated, invisible theft of purchasing power from everyone holding dollars. And the mechanism they're using is something most people think is separate from government: crypto and gold. You're watching the US government execute the most sophisticated debt elimination strategy ever attempted. They're building a parallel financial system, accumulating strategic reserves in Bitcoin and gold, preparing to revalue those assets at multiples of current prices, and using that revaluation to technically balance a debt that's mathematically unpayable. But here's the part that should terrify you. When they revalue gold and crypto upward, they're simultaneously devaluing the dollar downward. Every dollar you hold loses purchasing power. Every bond you own becomes worthless. Every savings account evaporates in real terms. You're about to be robbed. Legally, quietly, completely. And most people won't even realize it happened until it's too late. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Not theory, not speculation. The actual mechanics of debt devaluation through strategic reserve revaluation. I'll show you the historical precedent. This has happened before, multiple times. I'll show you what the US government is doing right now. The executive orders, the Bitcoin reserves, the gold accumulation, and I'll show you the timeline, when this happens, how fast it happens, and what you must do before it's too late. Because this isn't coming in 20 years. It's happening right now. The pieces are moving into place. And once it executes, there's no going back. Let me start with something most people don't understand. Government debt is not like household debt. When you owe money, you have to pay it back with real value. Work more hours, sell assets, cut spending. But governments have a tool you don't have. They control the currency. And controlling the currency means they can change the rules. They can redefine what a dollar is worth. They can revalue the assets on their balance sheet. They can make debt disappear without ever paying it. This is called monetary reset, and it's happened repeatedly throughout history. Let me show you the pattern. In 1933, the United States was drowning in debt from World War I and the Great Depression. The debt to GDP ratio was 40% and climbing. The economy was collapsing. Deflation was destroying everything. So President Franklin Roosevelt did something radical. He revalued gold, not by a little bit, by 69%, overnight. Here's how it worked. In 1933, gold was officially priced at $20.67 per ounce. That had been the price since 1879. For 54 years, 1 ounce of gold equaled $20.67. The dollar was defined as 1/20th of an ounce of gold. This was the gold standard. Your dollar was literally a claim on physical gold, but the government was broke. They couldn't pay their debts at the current gold price. So Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102. He made it illegal for Americans to own gold. You had to turn in your gold to the government. They paid you $20.67 per ounce, the official price. Most Americans complied. They traded their gold for dollars. Then, after the gold was collected, Roosevelt revalued it. In 1934, he announced the new official gold price, $35 per ounce, a 69% increase. Overnight. Here's what that did. The US government owned most of the nation's gold. They just confiscated it. At the old price of $20.67, their gold reserves were worth about $4 billion. At the new price of $35, those same reserves were suddenly worth $6.8 billion. They created $2.8 billion in value out of thin air, just by changing the price. But here's the key.
See, that's how they get you, man. That's how they get you, man. They're going to devalue the dollar and wipe out the debt out of thin air, but you're going to fucking pay the fucking bill by your dollar's not going to be worth as much. So what you could get for $1 like 20 years ago, okay, it's going to take you $100 to get something today that it took you only $1 20 years ago to get. So you need more dollars because each dollar is worth less. Okay, it takes $100 would be worth $1 20 years ago. So as that goes down, whoever owns the gold, the Bitcoin, okay, your economy is going to boom. But see, this is how we're going to take over. This is how we're going to take this shit over. Because we're developing free electricity, free energy. Okay, that means we don't have to pay electric bill. You see, because the government owns the grid, so they can jack your electricity bill up. But because we're creating our own grid and we can generate our own electricity, see, that doesn't affect us. We can crypto mine at a profit nonstop, and as the Bitcoin goes up, okay, we got our crypto miners working. That means every coin we mine is worth more and more and more and more as we mine it. So it's just another, and they can't offset it with the electric bill because we're not paying electricity. See, right now, a lot of these crypto miners are suffering. If the electric bill goes from 7 cents a kilowatt hour up to 9 cents to kilowatt hour, that puts all these crypto miners out of business because that's a huge amount of money that they're going to have to pay in electrical costs. So all their profits getting eaten up by the electrical costs. Now let's say they jack it up to 15 cents a kilowatt hour. All these people who are crypto mining are going to be out of business. Okay, they're going to be mining at a loss. So, only the super rich people can mine cryptocurrency. They can mine at a loss because they got money to offset. They can pay that electric bill and just hold on to the coins and wait for the coin to go up from $100,000 to $1 million. And they'll recoup all their money back in the long haul. But if you're just a everyday person, that eliminates you because you're going to be paying thousands of dollars every month in electrical costs. You're going to be losing thousands of dollars. Okay, so the money that you're mining with your crypto mining machines ain't going to offset the cryptocurrency that you make. It's not going to offset your electric bill. So if you don't have excess cash on hand to pay that electric bill, guess what? You're out of business. And that's good news for us, because as these miners out here,
the debt they owed was denominated.
Yeah, as these people who are mining cryptocurrency, as they start to fall off, that means their machines, they're going to have to sell their machines. And that's where we come in and swoop those machines up. So I'm saying we go up and get them machines pennies on the dollar. Right now, those Bitcoin S19s are going for like $500. And see, these people that mine cryptocurrency, because electrical costs are coming up, they can't afford to run the S19s, but we can because we're not paying electricity. This is why building this free energy device is so important, because we can stack Bitcoin, stack it up. So when it goes from $100,000 to $1 million, then we can do, you take that money, put it into a nonprofit and start paying everybody's goddamn mortgage off so people can keep their damn property. But we're going to have a contract saying that you cannot sell to Bill Gates. If you decide to want to relinquish your property, it has to come to us. Okay, we own it. Okay, and the only thing that they can get us on is probably eminent domain and property tax, which is why we have to start taking public office. We have to start with the local elections, move up to the state, move up to the federal. Okay, we got to start putting our people in these positions and changing these goddamn laws, because that's the one thing they got on us is the eminent domain and property tax. We have to eliminate that, man. Okay, so but we can build up enough money, finance these campaigns to start taking over these local elections, start taking over the local businesses, grow food at a massive level, and supply these stores. Once they start going out of business, we buy the stores up and start supplying it with free food, free clothes, free whatever. Okay, and we'll get access to these robots, because Elon Musk is selling robots for like $20,000 a robot. We'll go buy the robots, dismantle them, and figure out how to build our own goddamn robots and set up our own fleet. And then that way we can put those robots to work and, have the robots grow the food, farm the food, fix the machines, clean your house or whatever the hell, man. Produce your water, farm your food. We just put the robots to work, man. And then we'll have a fleet of robots to maintain the robots. In other words, you got robots to fix the robot. So if there's a problem with a robot, we have other robots come in and fix the robot, which means we had to get access to rare earth minerals. And those minerals are right there in Africa, which means we're going to have to rely on the Dogon tribe. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to have to set up an operation where we finance the Dogons so they can, they go out here and set up schools and whatnot, and re-educate brothers and sisters. And then they can give us some hookups over there in Africa, Burkina Faso, wherever, where they have rare earth minerals. We cut deals and get access to these minerals so we can develop our own technology, man. I mean, it's a lot, but we can do it, man. But you have to understand what's about to come. Bitcoin's about to go through the roof, gold's about to go through the roof. So when we get this Bitcoin, we can either put it into gold, platinum, or silver, hold on to those assets. When they go up, everything goes up, man. And then we take that money, put it into nonprofits, and start buying up all the land we can buy up all the businesses, buy everything up. But we have to do this now, and everything is predicated on this free energy device, man. Hold on, we're going to get back into this.
In dollars. Those dollars were now worth less relative to gold. Before the revaluation, the government debt was 40% of GDP. After the revaluation and the inflation it caused, the real debt burden fell to 25% of GDP within 5 years. They erased 15 percentage points of debt to GDP just by revaluing gold and devaluing the dollar. And American citizens, holding dollars, they lost 40% of their purchasing power, not immediately, but through the inflation that followed over the next decade. The government transferred wealth from dollar holders to debt elimination. The people who had...
Yeah, so this is how they're ripping you off with the dollar devaluation. So like I said, man, we get the free energy device, run it through the mining operations, and then stack as much Bitcoin as you can stack.
Watched it get revalued to $35, but they couldn't buy it back. It was illegal. They were stuck holding devalued dollars while the government erased debt using their confiscated gold. This is not ancient history. This is the playbook, and it's happening again right now. Let me show you how. The United States currently owes $37 trillion in debt. The debt to GDP ratio is 132%, higher than any time in American history except World War II. The annual interest payment on that debt is $1.2 trillion. That's more than the defense budget, more than Medicare, more than anything except Social Security. And interest rates are still elevated. If rates stay at 5%, the interest payments will hit $1.8 trillion annually by 2027. That's 6% of GDP. Just interest, not principal. Just interest. This is unsustainable. Everyone knows it. The Congressional Budget Office knows it. The Treasury knows it. The Federal Reserve knows it. They've run the numbers. There is no scenario where this debt gets paid back through traditional means. You cannot tax your way out of 132% debt to GDP. You cannot grow your way out when the debt is growing faster than the economy. You cannot cut spending enough when interest alone consumes 6% of GDP. There is only one option, devaluation. But here's the problem. If they just print money to pay the debt, everyone sees it. Inflation spikes, the dollar crashes, confidence collapses. They need a more sophisticated method, something that looks legitimate, something that looks like smart policy, something that doesn't look like theft. Enter Bitcoin and gold. Let me show you what's happening right now. How many cars have I... On January 23rd, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The order directs the Treasury to acquire and hold Bitcoin as a strategic asset, similar to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but for digital currency. The stated goal is to position America as a leader in digital assets, to ensure that U.S. doesn't fall behind China or other nations in crypto adoption, to protect American innovation. That's the public narrative. Here's the real reason. The U.S. government currently holds approximately 210,000 Bitcoin, seized from criminal enterprises, Silk Road, Bitfinex, various ransomware cases. At current prices around $100,000 per Bitcoin, that's $21 billion in Bitcoin. Not nothing, but not enough to matter for a $37 trillion debt problem. But the executive order doesn't just direct them to hold existing Bitcoin, it directs them to acquire more. The proposed target in the bill introduced by Senator Cynthia Lummis is 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. At current prices, that would cost $100 billion, but here's what they're actually doing. They're not buying Bitcoin at market prices. That would spike the price and cost too much. They're acquiring it through other means, seizing it from ongoing criminal investigations, accepting it as payment for fines and penalties from crypto companies, potentially even mining it using government-owned energy infrastructure, and they're doing it quietly. Because the goal isn't to acquire Bitcoin at current prices. The goal is to acquire Bitcoin before they revalue it. Let me show you how the revaluation works. Right now, Bitcoin is priced around $100,000. Let's say the US acquires 1 million Bitcoin over the next 3 years. At an average cost of $120,000 per Bitcoin, that's $120 billion in total acquisition cost. Now, let's say they acquire it quietly. Don't announce it. Don't market buy. Just accumulate through seizures, fines, and strategic purchases through intermediaries. By 2028, they hold 1 million Bitcoin. The market doesn't know how much they have. Then they make the announcement. The US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is operational. We hold 1 million Bitcoin. And we're revaluing it, not at current market prices, at strategic reserve prices, just like we did with gold in 1934. Purposes of the US balance sheet, Bitcoin will be valued at $1 million per coin, not the current market price of $100,000, but $1 million, a 10x revaluation overnight. What does this do? Their 1 million Bitcoin, acquired for $120 billion, is now worth $1 trillion on the government balance sheet. They've created $880 billion in value, out of thin air, just by changing the accounting price. But it's not just accounting, because once the US government declares Bitcoin is worth $1 million per coin for reserve purposes, the market follows. Why? Well, it's because the US government is the largest holder. They set the floor. If the Treasury says Bitcoin is worth $1 million and backs that with the full faith and credit of the United States, the market reprices. Bitcoin doesn't go to $1 million overnight, but it goes to $300,000, then $500,000, then $800,000 over the next year. Close enough to the official revaluation that the government's balance sheet math works. And here's the key. While Bitcoin is going to $1 million, what's happening to the dollar? It's collapsing. Because if Bitcoin, a digital asset with no intrinsic value, is suddenly worth $1 million, it means the dollar is worth less, much less. The revaluation of Bitcoin upward is the devaluation of the dollar downward. They're the same event, just viewed from different perspectives. Now let me show you the gold side, because Bitcoin alone...
That's why we got to mine that Bitcoin. All right. Okay, yeah, so the gaslighting is at a high level right about now, because they're lying about how, the job growth numbers. They're talking about there's going to be more tech jobs, but all that's going to get replaced by artificial intelligence. But they'll sit here and lie and say there's going to be 78 million jobs added over the next 10 years. It's going to be net job growth over the next 10 years, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit, by the way. But what they're doing is they're collapsing the economy. So as the dollars start to shrink, become less and less value, jobs are also going to go down. So you got less jobs being available and the dollar decreasing. What's going to happen is, you're going to see more and more people foreclosing on their properties. Yeah, so when these properties become available, what they're planning on doing is by accumulating Bitcoin and coming in with automation, okay, they're going to take their funds, these billionaires, what they're planning on doing is they plan on, as homes foreclosed, they plan on swooping in, buying up all the properties, and they're going to make it to where nobody owns anything, and you're going to have to rent from them. Now, see where we come in, and this is our opportunity to make that move. We can take back control of this earth, and turn this earth into a utopia. Where we come in is, okay, we mine this Bitcoin, and we're not paying any electrical costs to mine the Bitcoin. So as more and more people who mine Bitcoin go out of business because they can't afford to pay the electrical costs, they're going to start jacking the electricity rates. They're going to start jacking it up, making it damn near impossible for these Bitcoin miners to make a profit. So they're going to be mining at a loss. And if they're not billionaires already, they're not going to be able to afford to mine at a loss. So they're going to be out of business, which means there's going to be a whole lot of Bitcoin hardware available. Pennies on a dollar. We can go in, get these S19s, start mining Bitcoin, put it into a nonprofit, and go in and start buying up all this Bitcoin mining hardware. We can buy that up, build it. We can run these machines, not pay that electrical bill, erase that electrical bill, and mine at a profit, stack that money, put it into nonprofits. And when these people start foreclosing on their property, we go in with a contract saying, hey, you can keep your property. We're going to pay off your debt so you can hold on to your property. But if you decide to relinquish your property, it comes to us. Okay, you can't sell your property. You got to hold on to it. Okay, so if they can't pay the property taxes, we go and pay the property taxes, and then we'll get access to the property, control it, let the people stay on their property for free. Don't worry about paying no rent. You know what I'm saying? You keep your family, raise your kids, whatnot. Keep your house. You can pass it down to your next of kin, pass it down to your next of kin for as long as you need it. You just can't sell to these billionaire assholes. Okay, you got to hold on to your property. So we take the money, the Bitcoin assets, put into gold, put into buying land, put into buying robots, put into buying up these businesses, put into food production, put it into, have the robots, make the toilet paper, make the clothes, make your shoes, make everything, man. Okay, we can turn this earth into a utopia and make everything free, and then that will elevate society. All the while we bankrupt these assholes because you're not buying anything. Everything will be provided for free. We're going straight from the earth, manufacturing everything at mass and making everything free. Now, as far as the food production, that the free energy device, okay, we'll be able to produce thousands of volts of DC. We're going to run into static plates, put your seeds in the static field. Let it sit there for about a month or two, and then plant the seeds. And instead of growing little tiny tomatoes, you grow gigantic tomatoes. We'll multiply the food supply, distribute it out, and make it free. Okay, innovation and technology. Okay, but we have to get this thing up and operational, and we got to get a move on this ASAP. And we need a crew of people. Okay, you know, we need to reach one, teach one, pretty much. Okay, but the goal is not to be greedy, not to be rich. The goal is to get rid of money and make everything fucking free. Everything on this planet for free. If you want to get on a plane, fly to Tahiti, just hop on the plane. We're going to turn this earth into a fucking amusement park, man. But we're going to break down how they're gaslighting you, and we shall continue. Okay, this is the bullshit for public consumption. Now, I already showed you how they're going to devalue the dollar and raise the debt and make everybody broke in the fucking process. You're going to be left holding the bag, which means you're not going to be able to pay. You won't be foreclosing on your property. So if what they did, if what they're telling you here is even true, it doesn't matter. They're going to be paying you in devalued dollars. So the jobs you get ain't going to be able to afford. You're not going to be able to afford a mortgage or anything like that. So this right is all bullshit. They're telling you there's going to be 78 million net jobs. They're lying, because, you know, they're telling you this shit right here, but I'm going to tell you, motherfuckers from the World Economic Forum telling you the exact opposite of what their little bullshit ass stats right here are telling you. Right here it says, okay, job growth over the next decade is expected to be significant, but will be shaped by technological advancements and demographic shifts, with some roles declining and others rising. Okay, globally, the World Economic Forum, here's these motherfuckers, the World Economic Forum, this is their stats, okay, projects a net increase of 78 million jobs, with 170 million created and 92 million displaced. In the U.S., the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects 5.2 million new jobs between 2024 and 2034. Healthcare, green energy, and technology are key growth areas, while some administrative and frontline roles may decline due to automation. Okay, see, they're trying to tell you, gaslight you, and tell you that there's 78 million net jobs. Okay, this is the World Economic Forum telling you this right here, the World Economic Forum. This is their projection. This is their projections, but we're going to get into the World Economic Forum out their own goddamn mouth, man. Hold on. Okay, this right is Yuval Harari. He's the second. I think he's heading the World Economic Forum as we speak, and this is him out of his own mouth. But hold on, let's get into Yuval Harari. Hold on here. Hold on. Okay, I was incorrect. Yuval Harari, according to the World Economic Forum website, Yuval Harari is not a standing member, but he speaks at all their events, attends their events and whatnot. But I think he was tied in with Klaus Schwab. Hold on here. Okay, here it is right here. Yuval Noah Harari's connection to Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum is that he is an invited speaker at their events, but he is not an employee, advisor, or official of the organization. Nature of the relationship, speaker, not staff. Harari has participated as a featured speaker at several WEF annual meetings in Davos, including in 2018 and 2020, and other events where he has shared his research and perspectives on topics such as future of humanity, technology, and AI. You can find his sessions on the World Economic Forum website. Now Yuval Harari is tied in with the World Economic Forum, and see, the gaslighting is the World Economic Forum says there's going to be a net job of 70 million jobs or whatnot. But Yuval Harari is going to break this down, and we're going to read what he's speaking here. You see right here. He says, as we enter the third decade of the 21st century, humanity faces so many issues and questions that it is really hard to know what to focus on. So I'd like to use the next 20 minutes to help us focus on all the different issues we face. 3 problems posed existential challenges to our species. These three existential challenges are nuclear war, okay, ecological collapse, and technological disruption. We should focus on them. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get into this AI, man, this whole job situation, because they tell you one thing, it could be true, but they're not telling you the whole story. They omit a lot of information, so they lie, basically. They lie by omission. We're going to get into the omission. Okay, he says right here, in Davos, we hear so much about the enormous promises of technology, and these promises are certainly real, but technology might also disrupt human society and the very meaning of human life in numerous ways, ranging from the creation of a global useless class to the rise of data colonialism and of digital dictatorships. Okay, hold on. Okay, he's saying first we might face upheavals on the social and economic level. Automation will soon eliminate millions upon millions of jobs, and while new jobs will certainly be created, it is unclear whether people will be able to learn the necessary new skills fast enough. Suppose you are a 50 years old truck driver and you just lost your job to a self-driving vehicle. Now, there are new jobs in designing software or in teaching yoga to engineers. But how does a 50 years old truck driver reinvent himself or herself as a software engineer or as a yoga teacher? And the people will have to do it not just once, but again and again throughout their lives, because the automation revolution will not be a single watershed event following which the job market will settle down into a new equilibrium. Rather, it will be a cascade of ever bigger disruptions, because AI is nowhere near its full potential. Old jobs will disappear, new jobs will emerge, but then the new jobs, here it is right here. So all that bullshit they talking about 70 million jobs, this is bullshit, because those 70 million jobs, yeah, they're going to appear, but then they're going to be replaced by AI, as it says right here. But then the new jobs will rapidly change and vanish. Whereas in the past, human had to struggle against exploitation. In the 21st century, the really big struggle will be against irrelevance, and it is much worse to be irrelevant than exploited. So in other words, you're going to be useless. So they'll tell you on one hand, yeah, there's going to be a net increase of 70 million jobs, but what they're not telling you is those 70 million jobs will, within the next couple years afterwards, be replaced by AI. So there ain't going to be no jobs, it's going to be irrelevance, man. Okay? So this is what we're facing, and this is what these billionaires are planning on doing to you, is making your ass irrelevant. Now, I want to kind of go off here. Now, you women have been programmed to think that you're independent and you're strong, don't need a man. All that bullshit that the Rockefellers brainwash you with all that Disney bullshit, is going to get put to the test, man. Because y'all come out here bragging about, oh, we're smarter than men, more women get college degrees and all that bullshit. Well, those college degrees ain't worth toilet paper to wipe your motherfucking ass. It's about as worthless as a fucking high school diploma. Alright? Because they don't need, I mean, you're going to graduate from college, be $150,000 in debt and can't find a fucking job, which means they own your motherfucking ass and they set you dumb motherfuckers up. I mean, all you dumb, bimbo, nitwit feminists, okay? You've been set up. So we're going to put whether or not you need a man to the test, because that's going to be tested. Okay, we shall continue. Now, when I discuss feminists, okay, I'm not discussing women, because you have women and then you have feminists. Feminists are not women. A feminist is a dude with a vagina. This is who I'm talking about. I am not talking about women. Okay, so when I go in on a feminist, that's who I'm going in on, because not all women are feminists. As a matter of fact, the majority of women on this earth do not adhere to feminism. Feminism and divine femininity are two different things. Two different things. To be feminine It's not the same as being some dude with a vagina. Okay? Two different things. So what I'm attacking is that masculine energy that's being propped up as strong female. Okay, if you're going to be a strong female, be strong feminine, not weak masculine. A feminist is weak masculine. Divine femininity means strong feminine. You got women who are strong feminine, and then you got women who are weak masculine. Weak masculine is a feminist, and this is that weak masculine trait has destroyed the family. That mindset has destroyed the family. When you have two parents not raising the next generation, not being there for the next generation, what you're doing is you're raising a generation of the lost. And now this generation of the lost has become in its adult stage. Okay? You're starting to see the collapse of society. And you can thank these knuckle-brained feminists for this, man. All right? They blame the men, but it's not the men. Because first of all, these women know that this guy that's about to knock them up, about to get them pregnant, they know that this guy does not have a job, ain't worth a shit, but that's the guy they choose to make a baby with. And then when the dude starts to be exactly who he was when she first met him, starts behaving in that manner, okay, she wants to sit here and say men are dogs. You knew this motherfucker was who he was before you chose to lay up with the man and before you chose to bring him and make a baby with him. Now, who suffers? Okay, the man suffers because if he doesn't pay up that child support, okay, he's going to jail. Okay, because some dumb broad wanted to trap him or use him for a baby so she can collect more money from the government. Now the kids suffer because they grow up with all kinds of psychological issues. Okay, they grow up without a strong masculine presence, a strong father in the house, no discipline. And as a result, you got young men out here being misguided because they're being raised by the streets. They're out here hustling, selling drugs. And the only people that benefit from that scenario are the elites. Because they don't want to ship the drugs in to these knuckle-brained single mothers who claim they don't need a man. These elites are the ones distributing the drugs to their kids, to these single mothers' children. To not only be set up to end up in prison to be a 23-cent an hour slave, they're also being set up to be dead by the age of, before the age of 30. Okay? So now you got a society of useless men, worthless men. And this was all created by the Rockefeller Foundation. They made men worthless because of their pecking order. After civil rights, the white males get the jobs first. The white female gets the job second. The black female gets the job third. And the black males last to get the job, which made the black male useless and irrelevant. Okay? And now this woman who the Ashkenazi gave the job to thinks she's better than the goddamn man. Thinks she can do a man's job. She's been conditioned to think this way. Now, this same uselessness that the black man has fell victim to for the past 3 to 4 to 5 decades, for the past 50 years, this whole element of black men being useless is now going to be applied to the women. Because now artificial intelligence is coming in to make you irrelevant, to make you useless. Okay, now, who do you think has a better chance of surviving the wilderness? A useless man or a useless woman? I'll let you take a second to think about that. Okay, because I got my money on the useless man.
surviving before a useless woman. Okay? The man can survive. Now, that woman is not going to survive. She ain't going to have a chance in hell. I don't care how masculine, how hard, how tough she thinks she is. You don't have a chance in hell. Because what's been propping you up is that Ashkenazi billionaire who didn't even graduate from fucking high school, giving your ass a job after you went 4 years of college and went $150,000 in debt. Now that job that you was counting on getting after you graduated and got your master's degree is no longer there because this Ashkenazi done replaced your ass with a robot. Now you're going to be out of here. You're going to have to figure out how to mine minerals. You're going to have to figure out how to build a house from scratch. Okay, you're going to have to get back to the goddamn basics, and you're going to have to learn how to put a roof on top of your house. Learn how to change your transmission. Learn how to get out here on the streets and make some money, because the only thing you're going to know how to do is stick your ass out and behave like a goddamn prostitute. A little Jezebel. That's going to be your solution. Thinking that you're going to go over here and parasite off of men that you said that you're better than. If you're better than a man, get out here in the wilderness and figure out how to go in the wilderness, grab raw materials from the wilderness and put it together and build a society. Can you do that, Miss Feminist? Okay, the answer is hell no, you can't. We're going to get into this, man. So, like I said, man, we got an opportunity to take back control of this earth. Okay, but in order to do that, we as a whole, men, women, black, white, brown, whatever, okay, you want to get back to the basics, man. You're gonna know how you gotta know how to make a saw from scratch. Gotta know how to make a screw from scratch. Gotta know how to build a machine. Gotta know how to program a machine. Gotta know how to generate your own power, your own water. You gotta know how to tame a horse and get some transportation or something. Okay? You got to do all this from scratch. And guess what? College didn't teach you how to survive on scratch. But the people that know how to do these things, that's your Dogon tribe, that's your Amish. And see, what I want to do is take what the Amish do, what the Dogon tribe, what the Native Americans, all these indigenous people learn how to do the exact same thing, but only add technology to a tribal society. It's kind of like we have tribal values, but we also have technology. Taking tribal values and combining it with technology, you have a utopia. Because tribal people, Amish people, they live off the earth and they don't use money. Well, Amish people today might use money, but that's only to get certain things from the outside of their society. Okay, Amish people usually are a tight-knit group. They produce everything. They grow their own food, build their own homes. They don't use electricity. They use horse and carriage for their transportation. They're self-sufficient people and they don't need money. But if they do business outside of their community, the people that they do require money, so they go ahead and use money to do business outside the community. But within the community, they don't use money. Anything that's produced within that community is free. Okay, so the society we want to set up is being able to generate what we need for free, but utilizing technology to produce the goods that will be distributed out to everyone for free, in mass, in abundance. Yeah, that's the purpose of technology, to make everything in abundance. And what that does is, so when you have abundance, what it does is eliminates crime. Okay? Eliminates crime, eliminates poverty. Okay, we're going to eliminate crime and poverty. Poverty leads to crime. Making things less abundant creates the demand of what's, all it does is creates demand. Demand creates competition, and competition produces crime. If we eliminate poverty, eliminate lack of abundance, you eliminate crime. Because no one needs to knock you upside your head to steal your Air Jordans when they can just walk in to a facility and just grab them for free. Okay, nobody needs to steal from one another when they can just walk into the store and get what they need for free in abundance. Okay? It creates peace. Okay, the only crimes we will have to monitor is sexual related crimes like niggas not being able to control their dick or can't get a girlfriend, so they got to go rape a woman or some shit like that. Okay, to offset that, okay, we're going to escalate spiritual practices like the Taoist secrets of love, train men how to channel their kundalini. Okay? And what that does, that offsets, being controlled by your third leg. Letting that your brains won't be between your legs. They're gonna be, you take that energy channel up to your brain so you can elevate, man. Okay? So, we're going to implement spiritual practices to offset any kind of sexual crimes, to eliminate that, to get that in check. Okay, that's called Taoist Secrets of Love, fellas. Okay, we're going to master that, channel Kundalini energy up, and we're going to become master Jedis. All right. So, but the bottom line is, okay, we want to produce everything in abundance and make it free to all. Okay, and what that does is it creates a peaceful environment. It creates bliss. It creates happiness, peace. And this is what we're going to promote in the new utopia. So in order to do that, we got to overcome, what's being taken place. The elites is pulling the plug on everybody. We want to hear it firsthand from what these wannabe men, dudes with vaginas, are complaining about. Now they whining and bitching. And fellas, these are going to be the same women, okay? They're going to look at you not as a husband, not because they love you. They're going to look at you as a means to their survival, and you're just a tool for their survival. Okay? They're just going to just use you for what you're worth. Okay? And then when they're not done, when they don't need you anymore, you know what I'm saying? They're going to go right back to being dudes with vaginas. Okay? These women are nothing but men. Okay? They're not going to be wives. They've been trained to be men, man. We're going to listen to them whine and moan. Okay? And cry about they can't find a job. My answer to you is, hey, you're a strong, independent dude with a vagina, strong, independent, quote unquote woman. Figure it out. Stand on your own 2 feet. Learn how to build a society. Learn how to mine a mine. Learn how to go to the earth, mine rare earth minerals, and then turn around, convert it into usable products. Okay, because that little stupid ass degree, all that enabled you to do for the past 20, 30 years is you got your piece of paper, then you go get a corporate job and sit on your ass all day long. Okay? And let men do the real work, but you just, because you making money, you know what I'm saying? You can just go ahead and hire some guy, but you still rely. You're saying you don't need a man, but you're still relying on a man, because that's who you hire to go fix your car and do everything else. It's a man. So bottom line is, you got to rely on men. Thing is, you just want to sit here and not be accountable and just have shit handed to you for nothing, and then have men do everything for you, but you take credit for it. Okay, that shit's coming to an end, man. Okay, we're gonna get into these Rockefeller brainwash program feminist bimbo nitwits. Okay, and I call them feminist bimbo nitwits. I'm not talking about women, real women. I'm talking about feminist bimbo nitwits. I don't need a man, and I'm already gonna be sitting here crying and moaning. And the next thing you're gonna be hearing, fellas, these same bimbo nitwits are gonna be prostituting themselves. Okay, all of a sudden they're gonna cooperate, and now they're gonna behave like good little prostitutes. But keep in mind, fellas, okay, these are not wives, these are prostitutes, man. Okay, here we go.
If you only listen to one thing that I tell you ever, let it be this. If you are currently employed, do not quit your job.
This relative says, yep, 8 months now. That I'll walk right into another role, but nothing. Solution architect doing federal government consulting work can't get engineering roles as I've been off the keyboard for too long to have the 10 years of consulting experience. get the occasional interview here and there and come off second best every time, but
See, there you go. These people getting engineering degrees.
Are you on a Medicare Advantage plan and notice that your copays are going up next year? You're not alone.
Okay, these people getting engineering degrees, getting master's degrees, can't even find a damn job, man. Okay, they either the job's not available or the jobs that they apply for, they're overqualified, so they can't get the job, man. Hold on. Okay, and the majority of these women, majority of these people, they can't find a job. The people that are getting laid off the most now are women. Okay, these feminists. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
master's degree is even more wild. The job market is so cooked.
Let's go over some of the jobs I thought about applying to, but then I read the descriptions and it didn't make sense. So this one was posted 1 hour ago. I was real excited to be the first person to apply. It says that it's a paid internship of $16 an hour. But then you read the description. The description says, this is a voluntary position to start. This will become a paid position in May of 2026 at 10 hours per week of $16 per hour. It is September. You will not pay me until May? Why not just hire someone in May? That makes 0 sense. Here's another great example. This is listed.
It makes perfect sense, lady. Okay, there's no jobs and you're desperate. So yeah, they're gonna get some free work out of you. See if you're even worth hiring first. Okay? And they're gonna get you to do free work for them, volunteer work for them for free. Because you're desperate, because hey, you have no other choice. So get out there and work for free now, miss. I'm smarter than a man, miss. I'm independent, don't need a man. Get out there and work for free. And these men that you're running to give you a job, a lot of them didn't even graduate from high school. So who's the smart one here, lady? You're 4 years in, 8 years in, going for a bachelor's, master's degree. Now you $100,000, upwards to $300,000 in debt on student loans and can't find a job. So, now you're desperate. Okay, you don't want to drive a truck. You don't want to do any kind of hard labor jobs, any blue collar jobs, because that's beneath you. And the men who do jobs, blue collar jobs, they're beneath you. But now the guy that is your type is turning your ass into a slave. Now you're going to come work for me. Even though I didn't graduate from high school, I'm going to hire you. You're going to be working for me. Okay, I'm the guy with no high school. Steve Jobs didn't graduate from high school. Bill Gates never graduated from high school. Okay? These are high school dropouts, man, that you're working for. Okay? And you got a 4-year degree. So if you're smarter than men, why are you working for a high school dropout? Why are you working for a man who's a high school dropout? And why are you begging for a fucking job? And why are you $150,000 in debt where this high school dropout is a multi-billionaire since you're so smart? Miss Independent, I don't need a man queen, but yet you're running to a man who didn't even graduate for high school for a goddamn job. Okay, hold on here. So, these women are $150,000 in debt. This woman has to work 10 hours a week free as an intern just to be considered for the job. Because these companies now, these women are so desperate for a job, now they're going to have to work 10 hours a week. They're going to get free work out of these women, and then they're going to pay them minimum pay, and then they're going to get replaced by artificial intelligence and then kicked to the curb. And then these same women are going to be running to men, running to some dude that was beneath them at first. Now they're going to be running to him to support them and take care of them. They're basically going to be in-house prostitutes. Okay? And fellas, you can't marry a woman like this because she'll drop you in a heartbeat for a guy of a higher pay stature. Okay? For this ain't about love, man. This is business with these women, man. So you can't marry them. So you got to treat them like business. Okay? They're prostitutes. Okay? They're just prostitutes. Okay? They'll settle for you until another guy with more money that has more comes around. Then they're going to drop you and go to the next guy. And if they find something better than him, they're going to drop him and go. Okay, they're just prostitutes, man. They just looking for a John to parasite off of. They're not looking to be a wife. Okay, they're just prostitutes. All right. Never let a prostitute move in with you. Okay. As a matter of fact, see, I go my whole life because I can look at myself in the mirror to know I don't lay around for a bunch of whores. Okay. But some guys, man, they like them whores and then they wonder why they demon possessed. They wonder why they got a satanic reptilian entity attached to them. Okay. That's what happens when you go through trauma. When you walk in, you come home from your job, from a hard working day, you come home early one day only to find out this woman who's nothing but just using you is in bed with your best friend. And she's preparing to dump your ass for your best friend because your best friend has a better job. Okay, this is the world that you're about to enter into when you're dealing with a masculated feminist knuckle brain parasite who is no different than a damn prostitute. Okay, these women are going to be prostitutes, man. Let's hear them whine and moan.
As a marketing and sales internship at a very popular retail store. But then you read the description. Greet the guests, help them in fitting rooms, check out on bag purchases. That sounds like a customer service job. Why is this listed as a marketing and sales internship when this is just a customer service worker job? Girl, if I wanted, it's not Kohl's, but if I wanted to work at Kohl's, I would. Like, why are you listing this as an internship for marketing? This is the last one. I'm about to close my computer.
This woman went to college for 4 years, probably $100 grand in debt. To only get offered an internship where she works 10 hours a week for free for 5, 6, 7, 8 months, don't get paid, just in hopes of them selecting her for a job and just in hopes for these men to hire her. But she's a strong, independent woman. Running to men to hire her. Sister, go find some women to give you a job. Okay? 9 times out of 10, these women that are running companies, they're going to look around, hey, these women, they ain't worth, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I got to pay just as much to this woman as I do a man, but only get half the production. Okay? Half the production. See, you feminists want to do half the work, but get paid equal to a man who does twice the work. Okay? Look, lady, you get paid what you're supposed to get paid. If you're doing half the work, you get half the pay. That's the way this goes, man. Here we go.
Because I cannot do this anymore. So this says it's paid, but it doesn't list a price. Then you read the description, and it says you get paid by commission as long as you expand retail sales by 120%. I'm sorry, 120%? You guys must not be selling fuck all. Because how am I supposed to expand your sales by 120%? And that's what determines if I get paid? Do not post a job listing if you cannot afford to pay workers, but I know you can afford it. You just don't want to.
Hey, this is called business, lady. Okay? If you don't produce, you don't get paid. Welcome to the world of a black man. This is the shit we've been going through. All right? And see, the reason why they do this to black men, because they don't want black men heading the household back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Okay? Black excellence was at a high premium. You had a lot of black inventors. People who coming up with these new innovations were black. Okay? The standard of black, because they had to be better, in order to survive, they were reaching levels of excellence. Okay? So these motherfuckers had to find a way to put an end to that shit. Okay? They didn't want black men coming out here being more excellent than they were. So what they did was they sold you a bill of goods with the civil rights movement. And then after they got you to relinquish your businesses, they got the finest minds out of the hood. They start hiring them in corporations. And then they slowly started to not hire black men and start replacing the black man with the black woman. Giving this black woman the check, making her think she's smarter and better than you. And now that she done kicked you out the house, destroyed the goddamn family, called the police on you, took half of everything you own because she chose to divorce you because she didn't feel, I don't feel like putting up with your shit. You didn't do what I told you to do, so now I'm gonna divorce you and take half of what you own, motherfucker. Or, hey, You made a baby with me. You know, I allowed myself to get pregnant by you. Now, here's this baby here. Now, I'm going to charge you for child support. And if you don't pay up, okay, your ass going to jail. See, the system gave this dumb broad all this power to fuck you over. Okay, the Rockefellers used your woman, black man, to fuck you over. Now this black woman thinks she's better than you because, see, the Rockefellers, see, they understand what they do. Hey, give the woman a job, she'll, you know, and don't give this black man a job. Now the woman's going to think she's better than you. See? And see, they get away with this because we don't own our own businesses, man. We don't have our own technology. But guess what? Now we're going to have our own technology. And we're going to kill this feminist bimbo mindset, because the way this is going to go, you got a loud mouth, you got a foul attitude, okay? You're going to have to get that shit in check. Or you're just not going to come, we're just not going to deal with you, period. You go out there, figure out how to build your own free energy device, figure out how to do your own shit, okay? And go do it yourself, man, because you don't need a man. You're strong and independent. Now, if you want to be a lady and add femininity, add that feminine energy and be cooperative and not be argumentative, not create a bunch of stress, hey, you're more than welcome, queen. We want those queens. We don't want no feminists. If you're a feminist, you can kick rocks, man. Go figure it out for yourself. You don't need us. Move on. Okay? And here we go. And like I said, these feminists are nothing but prostitutes, man. They're future prostitutes. Okay, here we go.
Of tech workers are losing their jobs and the numbers keep rising. Now, according to TechCrunch, Amazon had over 100 layoffs from Alexa, Echo, Ring, and etc. Microsoft had over 6,500 job cuts. Now, that's 3% of their global staff. Chegg laid off around 248 of its employees. Now, that's around 22% of their workforce. Match Group, including Henge and Tinder, laid off around 325 of their employees. And that's roughly around 13% of their workforce. And CrowdStrike laid off around 500 of their employees. And that's around 5% of their workforce. These tech players are making huge structural changes. And throughout the whole year of 2025, there.
Yeah, ladies, called a great reset. Klaus Schwab told you during COVID. This is our opportunity for a great reset. They're going to come in with robots and automation. They didn't want nobody working. They was paying you not to work because they was training and conditioning you to go without a job. They're going to pay you. Now they're just going to cut you off. There ain't going to be no jobs. We got robots. Okay, they're slowly phasing you out. And the people that's going to be affected most are you feminists. I don't need a man. And now what's going to happen within the next 2 years, all you feminists are going to become, you know, to the highest bidder prostitutes. Okay? You don't have nothing else to offer. You can't go out and mass produce. You can't go out. You have no technology. You can't go out here and roll your sleeves up. You can't build a transmission. You can't manufacture a screw. You can't go dig up raw earth minerals and convert it into usable products. Okay, that's hard labor. Okay, or you're going to need machines, and that means hard labor because you got to build that damn machine. You got to manufacture a screw, the components to build a machine, and then you got to have the mathematics and know how to operate that machine. Use a crane. Lift stones, you got to build a damn crane. You see, you feminists don't know how to do that shit. Which means, and that's too hard for you. I'm tired. You're going to be sitting here crying about how tired you are. Which means, you know, your only option is to be a fucking prostitute. And what I'm telling you, fellas, is don't fuck with a prostitute. Leave whores and prostitutes to the streets. Okay? Find yourself a queen, a real woman. Okay? A woman that embraces her femininity. Okay, those are women we're going to help. That's the behavior and attitudes that we're going to reward. This masculine bullshit, being a prostitute, just using a man for his resources. Okay, those women, leave them to the streets, kick them to the curb. Okay, we're not going to reward that behavior, man. We're not going to reward it. All right, so we're going to get into some stats here. Get in some stats. As it tells you right here, women job losses. Okay, it tells you women have experienced disproportionately high job losses particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, due to their overrepresentation in affected sectors like hospitality, education, and retail. Okay, factors contributing to these losses include stricter return to office policies, okay, the lack of child care support, and gender devaluation of labor, while recent unemployment rates for men and women are becoming similar. Women still have a net job deficit from the pandemic era compared to men. All right, so these women who getting all these college degrees or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt are going to be looking to you men to bail them out. And what I'm telling you fellas, do not bail these women out. They claim to be strong, independent, and don't need you. So make them be strong, independent. Okay? Make them stand on their own 2 feet, man. These feminists, make them stand on they think they can compete with you. Okay? Show these brides what a man is and what a man has to go through in order to make a woman's life better, and they don't appreciate that shit. They think you putting them down if they do some housework. All you gotta do is some housework, cook, and just look after the kids, and we'll take care of the rest. Okay? They'll say that you're not doing enough, when in reality you're doing everything. You're doing everything, man. They don't contribute shit. All right? Can't do shit. Society would not exist without men. If you had women running this society, okay, we would be destitute. This world would be destitute. This world would cease to exist if women ran the earth. Women have their role. The women are to nurture the next generation. Men are out here. We're the ones that have to build, protect. So protect the family so the whole unit can survive. That's our job. That's not a woman's job. If you leave that up to a woman, you're a dead man. You're a dead man. The world is dead. Society is dead. Society will collapse. So, men, you have to step up and start taking back control and kicking these prostitutes. See, these women right here who are losing their jobs, they're trying to say, because COVID was just a setup for the Great Reset. They used COVID pandemic as it was kind of like a test run to see, because they were conditioning people to not have a job. Okay, and they were also trying to separate people so we don't come together as a community and work together. It was all the divide and rule tactic. All the while they're preparing for automation to come in and bring robots in to replace everybody. Okay, so here we go, man. Causes of women's job losses. Okay, see, sectoral impact. Women were concentrated in industries heavily impacted by the pandemic, such as education, hospitality, and retail. And these are all hospitality, retail is all being replaced by artificial intelligence. Now the education is going to be replaced because a lot of these you can get a college degree practically online, man. Okay, so teachers and educational professionals not going to be necessary because all the curriculum, they're going to put it online, and that eliminates them having to pay a professor or pay a teacher. They don't have to pay them anymore. They just put the whole course on online and have artificial intelligence teach you your course. You see what I'm saying? They can provide all that for free, man. I mean, using artificial intelligence. Okay, child care and caregiving. Okay, the closure of schools and daycares disproportionately affected women's ability to maintain employment, man. Hold on, man. We're going to get deeper into this. See, it tells you right here, women face a disproportionate risk of job displacement or significant job transformation from artificial intelligence, AI, compared to men. Okay, this is primarily because women are overrepresented in roles involving administrative, clerical, and support tasks that are highly susceptible to automation by current AI technology. So these women going 4-year college, getting these degrees, end up for $150,000, are looking for clerical jobs. They're looking for, basically jobs that are fucking worthless to society. Okay, the Rockefellers were providing these jobs, making these women thinking they're powerful, that they're actually contributing to society, only to find out that they can easily be replaced by a fucking robot, and that what they were doing was really not that important. Okay, you've been overvalued. Now these same women who had it programming in their minds that they're better than a man, that they don't need a man, okay, now they're going to be the biggest prostitutes, you know, bidding their bodies to the highest bidder. Okay, whoever has the money, okay, that's who they're going to run to. They're going to run to whoever has the money. Okay, they're going to run to the highest bidder, because these women have been trained, or they're nothing but trained prostitutes. Okay, because they can't build a society. These motherfuckers can't even manufacture a goddamn screw. You know, they can't, you know, like computers, everything that you see out here that's been an integral part of the advancement of humanity has been developed by men. The men are the ones that build this shit. The men are the ones that go out, dig the mines, get the resources, take those resources, form it into screws, form it into transistors, MOSFETs, do the doping, do the high, all the hard labor to put this together was done by men. Women are just given clerical roles. They're not doing any hard labor. So now these clerical roles are being cleared out, no longer necessary, because they don't need any more clerical roles, because they got a robot to do all this. Okay, soon they're not going to need anybody, man or woman. But in that type of world, in this brave new world, okay, men are more equipped to survive the brave new world than women are. Okay, women going to go back to being, you know, prostitutes. They're going to be, you know, you're just a high paid prostitute. I mean, you're going to be a low paid prostitute. Okay? Until you learn how to behave get into your femininity and start respecting and valuing men. You can't love a man until you respect him. And right now, you motherfuckers don't respect men because you think you're a goddamn man. And now you're going to realize you're not a goddamn man. Now you're going to convert from being a dude with a vagina to being a prostitute. They're setting you up for this, women. And what I'm saying is, get back into your femininity. Understand what it is to be a woman, and get behind your man. Because men are built to survive the brave new world. Okay, we're made to protect you, but we're not going to protect you if you challenging us, thinking that you're a bigger man than us. Because in the brave new world, all these new rules, all these new laws sitting there protecting your ass, you can just call the police and all that bullshit. That ain't happening anymore. So a lot of you women are going to get up in the face of these men, and these men are going to treat you like a goddamn man. They're going to look at you like a goddamn man. And if you step out of pocket, these men are going to quit being nice, and they're going to start swinging on your ass. Okay, you're going to end up getting right hooked. You're going to have to get out of here and ball your fist up, Mr. Dude with a vagina. And now you're going to have to square off with a man. Okay, see how many of y'all can deal with men on that level. Because this is what we have to do. We step out of pocket with another brother, hey man, we're going to have to square up. And somebody going to get their head cracked in. So we have a mutual respect amongst brothers. Okay? That same respect amongst a man with a man's going to have, we're not going to have that same respect for a woman, because we know you're not built like that. But you're sitting here running your mouth, man. It's like Ice-T said, man, you know, this woman sitting here running her mouth, calling us punk pussies and saying we ain't shit. So we beat the bitch down in the goddamn street. 6 in the morning, police at my door. Fresh fly decent going through the bathroom floor. You know what I'm saying? Ice-T was talking about, it's going to get street. Because there's no jobs. It's a survival of the fittest. It's going to get street. Okay? So, you know, fortunately, that's why a nigga like me was born, to come out here and innovate and not let this happen. But at the same time, we got to kill that feminist mindset, because the feminist mindset is going to lead to prostitution. Okay, y'all women going to go out here behaving like the skankiest, filthiest, dirtiest little whorish prostitutes. Okay, and I don't want to see women going to that level, but that's where y'all headed, man. Because y'all backed yourselves in the corner with that bullshit ass, I don't need a man. Now this man that you claim you don't need, okay, now you're going to be, you know, offering to sell your body to this guy in exchange for some money, just to keep your independence, instead of just working together, being a divine feminine female, working together with her man to help build a new utopia, man. Okay? That's the peaceful solution, and that's the way true God of the universe set it up to be. Okay, y'all not supposed to be out here doing hard labor, man. You're supposed to heal the sick and raise the next generation. Keep the family unit together. And y'all have devalued that. And because you feminist knuckle brains devalue raising kids, supporting a man, now society's about to fucking collapse thanks to you motherfuckers. You already have a prison system full of your children that you raised by single mothers, sitting right there in prison or out here in the streets, selling drugs, running in gangs. Most of those young men were raised by their mama, man. So we're going to have to kill the feminist movement, man. You know, to make a long story short, and us men, okay, we want to get innovative, and we're going to have to, you know, start implementing. We want to get these crypto miners built. We're going to have to start stacking this Bitcoin, and we're going to start requiring land, and we're going to have to start getting resources from the land, converting them over to usable products to be distributed out to everyone for free. So, fellas, we have a lot of work to do. Okay, ladies, if you know your role, okay, we got a lot. We're going to have a lot for you to do. Okay, and I promise you, you're going to be happier because of it. Okay, but if you keep going down this feminist path, you're going to be your future is to be a street hooker. And guess what, fellas, today we're going to be divine, and we're not going to pay for no prostitute. Okay, I can look myself in the mirror because I don't lay with prostitutes. I don't lay with whores. And a lot of y'all women, that's what y'all about to become, and I ain't going to have shit to do. If you're a whore, I ain't going to have shit to do with you, man. But if you're a divine feminine queen, hey, welcome aboard. We're going to build this new utopia. And we're going to have respect. Men, women going to have respect for each other. I'm going to respect the fact that you're a woman as long as you respect the fact that I'm a man. Okay? I'm going to honor you as a woman as long as you behave like one. But once you start behaving like a dude, I ain't got no honor for you, man. Okay? All I got is a foot in the ass for you, nigga. Because, you know, you're not divine femininity. Now, if you come as a female, okay, I got all the respect in the world for you because, you know, you're representative of what it is to be a woman, and women are to be respected. Okay? Women are to be respected. But dudes with vaginas, we don't have no respect for you, and no, you're not a woman, man. Okay, so that said, you know, we are going to build this utopia, but hey, man, you know, it's going to have to be some changes. And women, I suggest you embrace your divine femininity. That's it. God bless all you gods and goddesses. Peace.